Do you want to take control of your health? Hear the truth about dieting and weight loss? Learn the best strategies for maintaining a healthy lifestyle? This is the Yossi Muller Show.
And welcome to the show. I'm Yossi Muller.
And I'm Duddy Muller.
Duddy is a chef with a background in nutrition.
Yossi is a nutritionist with a background in nutrition.
Every show we do, we take another myth and debunk it.
Crush it.
Today's topic is exercise will help me lose weight. People think that if they exercise, they will lose weight from the exercise.
And that is not true.
Absolutely not true.
Okay, Yossi, is exercise good for you?
Exercise is very good for you. Everyone should exercise. Exercise is wonderful.
I agree. Are there any exceptions to this rule that exercise doesn't help you lose weight?
Very few, and whoever you are who's listening to this show is almost certainly not one of the exceptions, but there are a very small minority of people who lose weight from exercise. The overwhelming majority of people who exercise don't lose weight from exercise.
We all know people who exercise and lose weight, right? Also, don't you burn calories when you exercise? So how can exercise not be helping you lose weight?
That's a very good argument. And those are the two most common arguments why people assume that exercise helps them lose weight. Because we know people who exercise who lose weight. And don't you burn calories from exercise? So if you burn calories, you lose weight? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So you didn't say if I burn a calorie, I lose weight. But if I burn calories, I lose weight.
Right. I mean...
So 1 calorie is not called losing weight.
I wouldn't consider 1 calorie losing weight.
Why? Because when you burn a calorie, you are burning a very small amount of weight. You're burning a decimal, 0.0002821 of a pound. That's not weight loss. That's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of an ounce.
Right, so?
But you're saying that calories, plural, if you burn more than 1 calorie, then you lose weight? Or when you say you have to burn calories to lose weight, you mean enough calories that you'll actually see a difference?
I would say enough calories that you actually see a difference. And exercising burns a lot of calories, doesn't it?
Well, I can tell that you see where I'm going with this. But let's answer the first question first. The first question is, don't people who exercise lose weight? And the answer is, it's common that people who exercise lose weight, but it's not the exercise that is causing them to lose weight.
So why is it that they do lose weight?
That's because people who exercise are very often motivated to take care of themselves. People who are motivated to exercise are often also motivated to eat better. And it's not the exercise that is causing them to lose weight, but it's the eating better that is causing them to lose weight. And there's a substantial amount of people who don't lose weight when they exercise, and those people aren't eating better. So exercise does not cause weight loss.
What about, don't you lose calories when you exercise?
So I was busting your chops before about calories sounds like plural for calorie, but you admitted that 2 calories is not enough to lose weight. Because when we say weight loss, we're talking about something that you can actually see and feel. We're not talking about 1/100th of an ounce.
Are you implying that exercise makes you lose only a few calories?
Totally. The number of calories you burn from exercise are very few. Not enough to lose weight. There are other things we can do to burn calories. A cold shower burns calories. Just it's not good advice because it's not a lot. It's not enough to make a difference. Also, getting scared burns calories.
Ah!
No, what did you just do?
I'm trying to help you lose calories.
You should have let me finish.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say that it's also not enough to make a difference.
Oh.
You know, if I just burnt 3 calories when you scared me, 3 calories, we're talking about a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of an ounce. So we're talking about decimals, like in the 3rd place. We're not talking about anything significant. Same thing with exercise. Should we crunch the numbers? Because I know this is a surprise to so many people. People could see what I'm talking about by exercise is so few calories. Let's pick an exercise that people are very familiar with. Brisk walking. I like this example because it's not talking about casual stroll around the block, and it's also not talking about high
serious
intensity
workout, right?
Yeah, it's a nice moderate workout. So a brisk walk, if you walk 1 mile, you burn 100 calories. We know that 3,500 calories burned adds up to 1 pound of fat burned. So we would think that if you walk 35 miles, you would lose a pound.
Right, simple math.
So the answer is no, because it is true that you burn 100 calories while you are walking a mile, but during that time, you anyway burned 30 calories just by existing. Most of the calories we burn is simply by existing. And when you walk a mile briskly, you're only burning 70 calories a mile, not 100. So when you see a machine like an elliptical or a person telling you you burn such and such number of calories when you exercise, they are telling you the greatest lie ever told. Because a third of those calories would have been burnt regardless, even if you didn't exercise.
You are always burning calories. So as long as you're not actively eating, you will be losing weight.
Yes, and to burn 3,500 calories from exercising, you have to walk not 35, but 50 miles.
50 miles? That's like 2 whole marathons.
Yes, 50 miles is 5,000 calories. 1,500 calories would have been burned anyway by existing. So 3,500 are burned from the walking. 3,500 calories equals a pound.
So if you walk 50 miles, you lose a pound?
Not even that, because the body gets used to exercise. And when you do the same exercise, the first mile you walked, you burned 100 calories. But when you keep walking, you burn fewer and fewer calories. With each repeated exercise you do, your body gets used to exercise.
So that 100 calories that everyone believes you lose by walking briskly for 1 mile is not accurate, because it is counting the 1/3 calories that you would be losing anyway just by existing, and is not counting the fact that the second mile you lose less than the first mile.
Yeah. And even if you did lose a pound from 50 miles, is that really called weight loss? When people say you lose weight from exercise, they mean you lose a 50th of a pound when you walk a mile? That's not what people are talking about, but it's not even that. So let's continue explaining why you burn next to nothing when you exercise. Exercise makes people hungry and eat more.
Oh, I know this. I have personal experience in this. There was a time in my personal weight loss that I guess I'm still in the middle of, but it was more dramatic then. I was developing a eating system as well as an exercise. So at one point I was feeling really good with my exercise. It involved a decent amount of cardio, running, and I felt great. I wanted to add a little bit to it. I literally just added 5 minutes of sprinting and I felt great. A couple days later, 2-3 days later, I saw that I was not losing weight. Not only was I not losing any more weight than I was before, I actually had stopped losing weight. That made me interested, and I started watching what I was eating, and I realized that I was eating more. When I had a choice, I would pick the food that had more calories. At the end of the meal, I'd always take 1 extra bite. I was always eating a little more because I realized that the exercise, that little bit of exercise, had kind of put me over a threshold with my appetite. And now it was much more difficult for me to control what I ate. So I stopped that little bit of exercise, and 2 days later, I was back to losing weight because I was in control of what I was eating.
Yeah, and the story that you experienced is very, very common. People, not even on purpose, end up eating just a drop more without even noticing because they're so much hungrier when they exercise. And an uneducated person, someone who actually thinks that exercise helps them lose weight, an uneducated person may even believe that exercise entitles them to eat more food and deliberately add more food.
And they will do this calculation of how much they should add based on how much they're losing, quote unquote, the 100 calories for them 1 mile walking. Meanwhile, they really lost 60 calories maybe.
Tops. And of course, they add a lot more than 60 calories. They think it's 60 calories.
Right. Once you start eating, it's not easy to stop. Whenever you have an excuse to add food, it's not necessarily a good idea to actually do it.
Yeah, but even people who don't on purpose add calories, they add way more calories than the number of calories that they burn from exercise. So if you deliberately add calories, you're certainly going to gain weight.
Right. At that point, I was losing around 2 pounds a week, and I had stopped that weight loss, which means I was now eating to compensate for the exercise as well as an extra 2 pounds worth of calories, an extra 7,000 calories a week without even realizing it.
And that's with sticking to your plan. I hope I'm not disappointing anyone, but when you set out to lose weight and you go on a plan, and just for the purpose of this discussion, we'll say you're on a 1,500 calorie diet, it's not really a 1,500 calorie diet. You could stick to the plan and have 1,300 calories, and you could stick to the plan and have 1,700 calories. You don't walk around with a food scale everywhere you go and a scientific calculator and an accurate database of the exact calories of every food in the world.
What do you mean? Don't foods have nutrition information that you could easily look up?
Not so easily, because calories on nutrition labels could be be off by up to 20%.
Really?
If they're being honest.
Wow.
And if they're not, it could be off by more. Now, I don't want to discourage people from looking at nutrition labels. You're better off reading the nutrition label than not.
So you're saying that even when reading the nutrition labels, a 1,500 calorie diet can range between 1,300 and 1,700 because the discrepancy in the actual calories.
Also, discrepancy in measurements. People aren't measuring with the most sophisticated measuring tools. People are eyeballing foods. So you're certainly going to eat more if you exercise, even if you don't on purpose eat more. So what happens is the amount that someone loses in calories if they exercise is not significant, if at all. They might not lose anything, but you talk about someone who does 20 minutes a day of moderate exercise, you're not losing weight.
Okay, so Yossi, you mentioned in the beginning that exercise is good for you. How?
So exercise is very good for your health, emotional health, physical health. Exercise makes you lose inches, even though it doesn't make you lose pounds. You get thinner, it tones you.
Which is also a good sign of health, but again, not a sign of weight.
It won't show up on the scale. And finally, to maintain weight, exercise is very, very important and also necessary. So exercise helps you become healthier, it helps you get thinner without losing weight on the scale, and it also helps you maintain weight once you lose it, or even before you lose it. It helps you not continue to gain weight. So how does it make you lose inches? Because when you exercise, your body loses fat and it increases in muscle, and muscle takes up less space than fat. Muscle weighs more than fat, so you will be thinner. Do you know what people respond with when I say that muscle weighs more than fat and exercise will help you get thinner but won't help you lose weight?
Well, can you then gain weight by exercise?
The answer is absolutely not. Any closed system, such as a person, where you have a definitive amount of weight and things get introduced into you and leave you, any closed system cannot magically increase in weight.
It needs something to provide that
weight. Where did the weight
mass
come from? It's the first law of thermodynamics. It's the most basic law of physics, of science. It had to come from inside of you. It can't just magically appear from exercise.
It has to come from the food that you are eating.
So as long as you don't increase your food, which is not necessarily the most simple thing, people without even realizing it eat a lot more when they exercise. But if you keep your food the same, you cannot gain weight from exercise. And we also said that a benefit of exercise is that it helps people maintain weight loss once they lose it. So we said that exercise burns so few calories and it's not enough to make a difference on the scale. So why would it help with maintaining weight? Maintaining weight is about keeping the calories in and the calories out the same.
Right.
Weight loss is about making a deficit that you burn more calories than you take in. But either way, if you're burning so few calories, why should exercise help with maintenance and not with weight loss? And that's a discussion, but I'll give a basic answer, two answers. One is that maintenance takes a much longer time than weight loss. We hope.
Yes.
So the typical weight loss takes a certain amount of months, and the typical maintenance, if done successfully, is a lifetime. So when we're dealing with a long period of time, then exercise does something to the body over a period of time that it can't do over the course of a diet, but it could do over a course of maintenance, which is increase the amount of muscle in your body to the extent that it improves your metabolism. If someone has enough of a change in their muscle mass, their metabolism will increase and that will help them maintain weight. In theory, if you dieted over a period of 10 years, if you went on a weight loss diet for a period of 10 years, this might apply. But there's another reason why it helps with maintenance. We said that exercise makes people hungry.
Right.
Now, that's only true when you're consuming fewer calories than you burn. When someone's trying to lose weight, they consume fewer calories when they burn. So when that happens, exercise makes you hungry. But on maintenance, you are consuming the same number that you're burning, or at least that's what you're trying to do. So you're getting enough calories. So when you do exercise, your body doesn't automatically compensate by increasing your appetite to the extent that you, even without trying, end up eating more.
Right. If you are already in a position that you kind of are hungry a little bit because you're losing weight, the exercise will make the appetite that much stronger and make it that much harder. But if you're in a position that you're maintaining, any exercise you do can be balanced out. Any calories that those exercises might lose, you can balance out by eating because you can have a complete perfect balance.
Right. And that's why people will exercise typically don't gain weight weight in the first place. They're much less likely to gain weight. That's why when I was younger and I was complaining when someone would look at me and demand an explanation for my weight, I would say, well, obesity runs in my family. And they would respond with, your problem is not that obesity runs in your family. Your problem is no one runs in your family. So
Yes.
That's actually true. It's funny, but it's also true. Running in your family helps prevent weight gain. So exercise is very good for keeping the weight off, but not for losing the weight.
This is one of the reasons that explain why as people age, they typically gain weight. But as people get older, they get less active. They are more in a position to gain weight. So exercise can help prevent weight gain. It will not promote weight loss.
True, with certain exceptions, but you are almost certainly not one of them. You mentioned different reasons why when people age, it becomes harder to lose weight. There are a lot of obvious reasons that people know. There's one less obvious reason, which is my favorite.
What is that?
That is that the situation you're in, as you age, history goes along in time, and donuts go from 300 calories to 1,000 calories. And companies spend more billions of dollars trying to convince you to eat foods that aren't healthy and convince you that they're actually healthy.
Sounds like somebody here cares a lot about this.
Yeah, that's one of the things I care a lot about.
Yossi, you mentioned that there are exceptions to this rule, that exercise does not help you lose weight. What are those exceptions?
So if someone does a lot of exercise, like 45 minutes a day or longer, intense exercise, and they vary their workout, they have to do a lot of exercise because they have to burn enough calories to actually make a difference. And they vary their workout because
So that the body doesn't get used to it and slow down the
effect
loss,
of the
right?
exercise. Because if the body gets used to exercise, it stops working. It stops having the same effect. And also they don't miss a day, as if we know anyone who doesn't miss a day. Count up all the days you miss. I'm talking about someone who doesn't miss a day. Count up all the days that they miss. And then also they don't eat extra calories because they're exercising. This is a very rare occurrence, and it almost certainly doesn't concern you.
It definitely doesn't concern me.
Yeah. And again, you should exercise just like I should exercise. And we exercise because it's a good thing to do.
Yes.
We also try to be nice to people. There are a lot of things we should do, but we don't make an assumption that being nice to people makes us lose weight.
Why does it matter that people believe that exercise will help them lose weight?
That's a good question. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think we really kind of touched on it. We know that exercise can make you hungrier and can clearly affect your dieting. So if you don't realize that, or you use exercise as an excuse to eat more, that's clearly a problem.
That's one reason. Also, when people exercise and they assume that they'll lose weight for it, they'll get frustrated when they don't see results.
And
that,
they won't.
When we work hard and don't see results, that pushes us to give up. And also, if we focus on exercise, it may very well take away our focus on our diet. Dieting requires a lot of focus. Maybe not at the beginning so much when you're excited, but to sustain a diet, you have to be very, very focused. And if you're focused on other things like exercise, then that may take away your focus on the diet. So you have to know you should certainly exercise, but you just have to know that it's like anything else in life that you should be doing, but has nothing to do with weight loss. It's a separate endeavor.
Right. So exercising is great, and you don't want it to distract you from your dieting, and don't connect it to your dieting in the sense that if you exercise and you don't lose weight, don't get frustrated. Recognize that exercise is a long-term thing. It's something that has long-term benefits, and keeping it up is really the key. So don't get distracted by short-term goals or gains. Weight loss is much more short-term than the benefits of exercise. But at the same time, even though exercise is great and there are great benefits long-term, they are not going to help with your weight loss.
Right. So if you are debating whether or not you should exercise, you almost certainly should exercise. But don't assume you'll lose weight, because you won't. And if you're trying to lose weight, then make sure you took care of the different issues that exercise brings. For example, becoming hungrier. So what I do is I keep dried edamame beans in my car at all times. So when I'm finished my workout, I have close by a very high fiber, high protein snack that will fill me up, and I could stay within my calories.
Exactly. When you know your weakness, you can prepare for it better and have a plan, as Yossi over here does.
And that takes us to the end of this episode.
Thank you all for listening.
We hope you join us next time.
Goodbye.